Hey guys, welcome back to another editing tutorial here on my channel. I'm Heather with TwoBlooms.com and I help portrait photographers edit their photos faster and better in Lightroom so that they don't have to be tied down to their computers editing day and night. If you've ever wondered how to get those gorgeous skin tones, the really luminous skin tones with lots of creamy natural light, but you don't know how to do that, or you're afraid of overexposing or washing them out, or maybe the photos look a little bit too ashen gray, well, I'm going to show you the step-by-step ways to get those skin tones in Lightroom. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to get gorgeous creamy skin tones in your photos in just a few clicks. Now, let me warn you before we get started. In order to get these gorgeous skin tones, the luminous skin tones, creamy look, it all starts in your camera with the best settings. So in order to get the best results in your editing, you need to get the best results in your camera, and that starts with lighting, especially subject placement and lighting your subjects in the best possible way. Because if you have bad lighting or less than optimal lighting, it's going to be really hard to get the final look that you want to get. And I tell photographers this all the time. It's so much better to polish a photo with good camera settings, good lighting, than it is to fix a bad photo with bad lighting, bad camera settings, and Lightroom. So lighting really needs to be your top priority before you start editing your photos. If you want to learn more about natural lighting and how to take the perfect image, I've actually created a natural light guide where I cover every type of natural light circumstance and how you can get the best results, the best photos, so that it doesn't take you forever to edit. And that's really the key to editing better anyways, so I'm going to leave the link to that guide below. But for now, let's just continue on to the video. Oh, and make sure that you stay tuned to the end of this video because I have a free Lightroom gift to share with you. Alright, so this is the photo that I'm going to be showing you as an example today. And before we get started, I just want you to note how I was very careful to light my subject in this photo. Now this was taken kind of towards sunset, so I used the light, the sunset in the back to illuminate her hair and also to block any kind of harsh shadows on her face. So as you can tell from the histogram over here, a lot of what's going on is in the midtones, and now that makes for a really great starting point when you want to create those really luminous skin tones. So there's not a lot of direct light going on here. I actually had a reflector in the background to actually bounce some light back onto her skin, so we have a really good starting point to work with. So what I'm going to do is I could go through all of these sliders and adjust them and tweak them one by one, but I rarely ever do that with any of my editing. I always turn to a preset because they make editing so much faster. And I'm going to grab my Call Her Crazy collection and I'm going to apply the Fiery preset. Now this might look like it's over the top, but I'm going to actually show you how to tone this down. And really great thing that I'm sharing with you today is that I'm sharing this preset with you for free. I'll leave the link below so you can grab it when you're done watching this video. Alright, so I clicked this preset and what it did is it really, you can see over here, it decreased some of the shadows, it brought up some whites, and it really added more light to the image, which is what I was wanting to go for. So you can see the before and after. Her skin is not being too overexposed, but I'm going to show you how to tone it down if it's just a little too much for your photo. So when we were working with an image like this and you want to really bring out those creamy skin tones, instead of coming over here to the exposure slider, which is going to adjust the entire image, I like to play around with the whites slider. Now this just adds more whites to your image and it really helps those skin tones look more creamy, more luminescent, and just more beautiful. This might be a little bit too much coming right off the bat from the preset, so I'm just going to tone it down just a little bit. And I'm also going to tone down the shadows. Now, I love contrast in my photos, so just personal preference, you can slide these however you want. I'm also going to add back in a little bit of contrast because I do like contrast and color in my photos. But as a starting point, this looks really, really good. Now, another thing that you can do to make the skin look creamier and brighter is to come down to the HSL panel, which is Hue, Saturation, and Luminance. And we're going to be working with the Luminance Sliders. Now, luminance is a way where you can add or decrease light in your image. And you can do this, you can pinpoint which part of the photo that you want to add or reduce this to. So for this photo, I'm going to grab this little selection tool, and I'm just going to hover over her skin. I'm going to click on it and drag up. And as I'm dragging up, you can notice the sliders on the right over here. The orange and the red sliders are going up. So this is adding more light to the orange tones and to the red tones, which are going to be in her skin. Now this is just adding more light. If I were to add too much, it's going to overexpose her. It's going to blow out some of the details in her skin. And if I drag down, it's going to take as much light out of there as possible, which is, we don't want that. So let me just double click on here again to reset these. And I'm just going to slightly go up. This just brings out a little bit more of that luminescent glow in the skin and makes it look a little bit more subtle and more natural. Now, she has very fair skin to begin with, so you might think, oh wow, she's looking really pale right now. Well, in person, she is. She has that really beautiful fair skin, that porcelain color. And it looks a lot different from the photo because I selectively underexposed this photo for a reason so that I could bring out more detail in post-processing. Now, if this is too much for you, if you think it's a little bit too overexposed, you can certainly come over here to the exposure panel or slider and play with that. Or my favorite is to play with the tone curve. Now, since most of this is in the midtones, I'm going to actually just drag one of these points down just a little bit. Same with there. And that's looking pretty good. So basically I'm dragging this one down here just to add a little bit more contrast, and these are going to go down just slightly so there's not overexposure in the skin. So I can still see detail in her face. She has that really beautiful creamy complexion and everything looks great. Now, the one thing that I'm going to finish this off with is kind of reduce the shadows underneath her eyes. Nobody wants baggy eyes, and she has really big, beautiful round eyes, and I want the focus to be on her eye color. So I'm just going to come over here to the adjustment brush, and I'm going to click on exposure. There we go. It was already clicked. So I can adjust this as needed, but I'm going to just leave it to where it was. And I'm just going to go over that part of her eyes just to kind of tone it down a little bit. Now I can keep doing this. I can adjust the slider here. But as I do that, you can see where the exposure is being applied, and I don't want to overdo it. So I think where it was before, or even a little less, would be perfect. Now I'm going to click on New and apply an even smaller brush. Now I made my brush smaller by the little roller on my mouse, but you can come down here and adjust the size down here as well. So I'm going to just apply it one more time just to where that deeper shadow is. And that might even be a little bit too much, so that is better. And when I'm done, I'm going to click Done, and you can see how the shadows underneath her eyes have been lifted. Now, if you don't like this look, or if it's a little bit too much, you can always go back, click on the brush, the pinpoint, and right-click it, and delete. And I think that even looks better because it's not over the top. So those are my 3 top ways to bringing out creamy skin tones, luminescent skin tones, and just overall good complexion in your photos. So you can see that it only took a few clicks and a couple of keystrokes to really make this happen. With presets, you can even adjust as needed, and you can see before and after how more beautiful and enriched her skin looks, how luminescent it looks, and without losing all of the details in the background and everywhere else. If you love this style of photography and you like this editing style, make sure you check out even more Lightroom tutorials here on my channel. Alright, so that's it. Pretty simple, huh? Anybody can do this, anybody can learn this, and I hope that these tips really helped you get those creamy, luminous skin tones that you've been after. Now, if you found this tutorial helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you'll be the first to know whenever I release a new Lightroom video. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.